What up, good people? And welcome to another episode of This Is Dope. Today's episode is going to be about EV ownership. Kind of my perspective, some considerations, pros, cons. This is all from, once again, my perspective, a Tesla owner, right? So some of these things will be Tesla specific, but I'll try to make the points I make and the things I bring up kind of generic. At least some of these will be applied to all EVs, right? So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. However, before we get started, if you can do me one small favor, just one. See that like button? Go ahead and mash that like button for me. Also, mash that subscribe button while you're at it. It'll help the algorithm distribute my videos more evenly, help get me to the masses. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the video. So, I've had my EV about a year, right? A little less than a year. So I'm not brand new, but I'm relatively new. So, all these perspectives I have are coming from a place of someone who's had it just about a year. I drive my EV a lot. I think I put maybe 16,000 miles on it. So I've driven it a lot. And also a little background on myself. I am really a tech enthusiast, right? So anything technology related that advances the human condition, kind of makes things easier for us, improves the way we do things, anything along those lines, I'm all for, right? I've been into this, personally, professionally, I've been in the tech, kind of IT area for a little over 20 years, kind of in the cyber risk, cloud engineering, information security, that type of realm. So once again, it's something I'm passionate about. So I say all that to say this, that perspective is going to kind of drive my pros and cons. So the first pro is software updates for me, for my Tesla. The biggest feature that I love is by far the software updates. And that's because you have the ability to add new features to your car, modify the way your car does things, kind of keep it in line with newer versions of your car, all via software update. This is how we, do things with laptops, desktops, iPads, mobile devices, things of that nature. So the fact that ability comes over to a car is just awesome, right? And my second pro kind of ties into that as well. It's that it's the full self-driving capability. Now, Teslas have their whole full self-driving package, which are a little bit more advanced than other EVs, but from my research and what I've been listening to, there are a lot of other vendors that are coming out with their version of full self-driving. So this kind of applies across the board, right? But full self-driving is something that I think is awesome. I purchased it, a while back. Had to sign up for the beta. Those of you familiar with Tesla know the process, right? Waited a long time. Finally was accepted, and a software update was downloaded and gave me the functionality. Once again, that over-the-air update thing is awesome. Full self-driving is not perfect. Not perfect at all. It's a step in the right direction. It's an enhancement, but I use it every day. I drive at least 5 to 10 miles, or let my car drive itself 5 to 10 miles every day, just my everyday, going to get kids, that type deal, right? And running errands. So I use it a lot. And I think it's awesome. It'll only get better. But that also leads me into my first con. Is I'm not sure how other vendors are, but with Tesla, the self-driving software, package and the subsequent updates are different than the main software update kind of path, right? The features that are in the main over here are not propagated to the beta. Not all of them, right? Not immediately when they come out. So, like right now, I'm driving I have a lot of awesome features, but not all the features that everyone enjoys in the main version of code. However, they also don't have full self-driving, so it's a trade-off, right? But full self-driving, the next update, from what I'm being told, incorporates those features. So you don't get the features when they come out in full self-driving. You'll get them in batch updates, right? Until they merge the two disparate lines or paths of code, right? So that's a negative to me, right? I don't have the ability to enjoy the full self-driving and the new updates at once all the time, right? So that's an issue. It's a Tesla-specific thing that as far as I know. However, that may be the same thing with other vendors. Another positive for me about owning an EV is I don't have to worry about gas. Gas prices obviously going up and down, and indirectly will affect everything, right? Cost of electricity, cost of this, cost of that, right? But for my it doesn't directly affect me at the pump because I don't go to a pump. I pull in the gas station, get snacks, that's it, right? However, that also leads me to a potential con, right? My EV was rated at 310 miles when it was new. Right now, I really get it's rated. I fill it up, it goes to 300, right? Doesn't get 310. There's going to be slight battery degradation over time, right? And I bought it used. I didn't buy it brand new. And just for FYI, it's a 2020 Tesla Model 3 long range. So you have to be cognizant of when you're doing trips of your range. And granted, that 300-mile range is not the real range, right? They try to get as close as possible, but that's perfect conditions range, right? However, the car is good about planning my route to allow me to be able to hit charging stations when I hit charging stations. But it's something you have to consider, right? Because charging stations, as of right now, aren't as plentiful as gas stations. And Tesla has their own thing. All the others have their own thing, kind of Electrify America. There's a concerted effort to kind of allow intermingling between the two, as far as Tesla's charging it wherever and other people charging it Teslas, but that's ongoing. But once again, it's I look at it as a negative because you don't have to do as much planning with an ICE vehicle. However, it's going to cost you a lot more, but the trade-off is you have to do a little bit more planning. Another really big plus for me about my EV is I'm able to customize it really specifically. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm able to modify and tweak little things to make it uniquely mine. And there's a couple of reasons I'm able to do that. A, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla is absolutely nuts. There's a ton of them. But secondly, so the things I've done to it aren't super hard. I mean, they have some level of difficulty, but it's not outside of my range, right? Whereas, my previous cars, or the Audis, Mercedes, Nissans, whatever, I did have that ability, right? I had to take it to someone if I wanted to do anything. And then the modifications I make, I'm an older guy, right? I mean, I don't want the neon wheels and all the other crap. They make it still look OEM. It still looks cool, but it doesn't look ridiculous, right? So that's a major plus for me. I think some considerations that as a potential new EV owner you need to have in mind is, first of all, upfront cost. It's going to cost more than a normal EV. I know we have the new Hyundai Ioniq 5s, and I know Nissan has had stuff out there, and Chevy's had the Bolt. But unless you're getting a Nissan Leaf or a Chevy Bolt, and I think they probably there's an uptick in price over what they would cost if they were ICE vehicles as opposed to EVs. So they're cost lower, but they're not optimally cost. They're not going to be the same thing as if there was an ICE version. That's what I'm trying to say. So you're paying, I don't want to say an EV tax, but you're paying that upfront cost for the EV, largely because of the, I don't want to say complexity, but it's different components that go into the car, right? The battery is in Teslas, I know, is by far the most expensive thing, and it gives you the range, right? I think that's probably going to translate to your Lucids, your Rivians, this, that, and the other, right? But that upfront cost is something you have to keep in mind. Now, the flip side of that, maintenance costs are going to be lower. There's no oil change, right? And so far, I've been utilizing one-pedal driving mostly in my Tesla, right? So if you are able to one-pedal drive most of the time, that lowers the wear and tear on your brakes. Thus, brake pads, brake maintenance is much further away, right? Battery, still have a warranty on my battery, so the major things you need to be concerned about aren't things you would need to be concerned about in a normal car. There isn't the maintenance considerations. Tires, obviously still need tires, but the other things not so much. This is another consideration, tires. That tire comment leads me to another thing. I don't know of any EV that has a spare tire. Don't know why. Seems to be common across the industry, not just Teslas. Don't hear about Rivians having any, Lucids having any. Don't think the Hyundais have any. Neither do the Volkswagens. None of the Polestars, none of them that I'm aware of. I don't know why, but that's a consideration, right? It gives you extra storage space, right, in your trunk, the sub-trunk area, but you need to be aware that most of these don't have spare tires, which is not something you're going to think about when you go to buy it, because all cars have spare tires. No, they don't. Another thing I would also say is just charging infrastructure, right? If you live in the middle of, nowhere, or you live in a very, very rural area right now, while charging infrastructures are expanding for both Tesla and Electrify America and the other major ones that are out there, they aren't everywhere. They're not as plentiful as gas stations, right? It's just not. So, obviously you can install a charging station at your house where you can charge your car. However, and generally around town use, that's enough. Your charging station at your home is enough. However, for those of you who live in an apartment that doesn't have EV charging stations, this is a consideration, right? You need to make sure there's charging stations in your area or in your city, right? You can get to without it being super hectic, or that when you do get to them, there may be potentially a wait because there's not as many as there are gas stations, and the number of EVs are growing, astronomically. Last thing I'll say you need to consider is also maintenance, right? There's not much maintenance, but when you do need to have some maintenance, like my Tesla, recently I had to get it repaired because there was a squeak in the front right side, right? It was I forgot, some rocker arm or something, right? I had to take it up there to Tesla. There's a lot of Teslas, right? Read online, repair shouldn't take that long. There are a lot of Teslas. However, EV makers don't see, at least in Tesla's case, I'm not sure about the other, like your Fords and your Volkswagens. I'm not sure if they're allowing you to come to other service centers. But for Tesla's sake, there aren't a lot of Tesla service centers compared to how many Teslas are on the road. So my wait there was absolutely ridiculous, right? I know it takes 2 hours to, take the other thing off, put the other thing on, give them a third hour because, they're going to move slow. But I was up there, generally go to these maintenance places and I'm up there the whole day. So that's a consideration, right? Your time, maintenance, things of that nature. But overall, like I stated earlier, owning an EV is awesome. I don't regret my decision at all. I think it's probably it's probably the best purchase for me from a vehicle perspective that I could have made. I'm pretty much at the point where I will not be going back to ICE vehicles. After my Model 3 if it's time for me to put my Model 3 to rest, I'll probably be looking at a Model X, hopefully, or a Lucid. They also have some really good cars, but once again, that's me staying in that EV lane. My wife, we're also discussing getting an EV for her. So, my family has seen a lot of benefits to having an EV. I have wife, 2 kids. We travel, take trips. I put like 15,000 miles on my car. Haven't had any complaints, no issues. Really just enjoying it. So that's my perspective, right? Held you guys for like 15 minutes. Hopefully you found this valuable, insightful in some way, shape, or form. Kind of give you a little something to think about. If you have any questions, right, want to ask me about something I didn't cover in this video, then feel free definitely to ask me. I didn't want to drag this thing out. I probably could have talked another 30 minutes. But like I said, I didn't want this to be a super long video. So welcome questions. Welcome comments. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself. But I'm out. Thank you for being here with me. And until next time, have a great day.